Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we download the latest on Batman Arkham Knight and Fallout 4 in the rundown.
Plus, I head to Relic Entertainment for the intel on Company of Heroes 2, the British forces.
And then we find out just how happy Marissa is with Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. Also coming up, we go behind the scenes of the new Steve Jobs movie, continue thinking different with a review of the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. I don't want to set the world on fire, but I do want to bring you the rundown. Batman Arkham Knight is getting a little more perfect. Later this month, developer Rocksteady Studios will release the new Catwoman's Revenge DLC. That's a new campaign set after the events of the main game, where players will prowl the night as Catwoman. As before, each DLC pack can be bought separately and is included in the game's $40 season pass. Also arriving, or re-arriving, at the end of October will be the game's PC version. It launched earlier this year with the console editions, but was pulled from stores after game-breaking performance issues were discovered. Hopefully all the issues have been worked out.
I won't let that happen, Jim.
When it comes to DLC, all Fallout 4 players are created equal. Bethesda Softworks has confirmed that the DLC for the game will not be timed exclusive on any platform, which means it will arrive simultaneously on the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. This is sure to be welcome news for the fans. Bethesda's Fallout 3 and New Vegas both had timed exclusive add-ons, with one of the packs hitting certain platforms 10 months after debuting on another. Timed exclusivity is usually the result of a deal between console manufacturers and game makers to help drive sales of specific systems. Bethesda hasn't given any actual details on the DLC we'll be getting for Fallout 4. We do know that all of it will be included in the season pass, which is now on sale for $30. Fallout 4 itself will launch November 10th.
Let's go, pal.
Look who has just downloaded into the studio to help me wade through this rundown information. Mr. Scott C. Jones.
I have arrived,
It's
yes.
an all DLC rundown. Now, what do you
It
think
is.
of the new stuff that they're offering in Arkham Knight? Are you excited to play as Catwoman again?
Just in general, talking about DLC, trying to think of examples where you were incredibly satisfied after playing a video game, completing it, buying the DLC.
Yeah.
I never really feel like I am, but if anybody can do it and do it right, it's going to be Rocksteady, for sure. Whatever they make is going to be worth paying for and worth downloading.
I feel that way, but a lot of people were disappointed with the Batgirl DLC and its brevity, but I loved playing as that character, and I would say I would rather have a Robin character, or Robin-focused game, or a Batgirl-focused game than a Catwoman-focused game at this point. But I love Catwoman, and I also love these new Batmobiles. So, this is an embarrassment of riches for me, and I fully think, as a Bat fan, that $40 asking price for the season pass, totally worth it.
I can see the goosebumps on your eyes. It's
I'm
kinda
excited.
gross.
I'm excited to get into Arkham Knight in all these new ways for sure. Now, with Fallout, they're playing kind of a similar kind of game because they're not really announcing what the DLC is. They don't want to spoil stuff that's in the actual main game of Fallout 4. But one thing that is new this time is that there's no timed exclusivity with any of this content, like there was with Fallout 3.
That's right.
And I think this is the same thing. Like, if you really love Bethesda, you're probably on board for all of it.
I think that's true for all the Fallout fans out there. We saw a little bit of it at E3 this year. We saw how crazy and nuts and passionate all the fans are, and they're going to be just down for as much Fallout as they can possibly get out of Bethesda, who has just delivered home run after home run in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're making incredible work, and I can't wait for all of the stuff that they've got lined up for us. All right, well, we've got to move on to a totally different game and more DLC. This is Company of Heroes 2, the British Forces.
Grenade Quinn, how could you do this to me? We're talking about British Forces, this new expansion for Company of Heroes 2. So if you pull this pin, what will happen?
Terrible things.
I am terrified now! Or just kidding. It's not real. You wouldn't do that to me because I can't be trusted. Let's talk about...
I hope it's not real. Nobody's actually done it.
Well, let's talk about the new expansion because this just came out. You guys are excited about it, but also it's been getting some pretty sweet reviews. So what's happening here in British Forces?
This is a continuing process at Relic. This is the 5th army we've done, so we're getting pretty good at it. And I think our processes internally have improved. We love the content. We're excited about working on it. And I think it shows. It shows that we're having fun. The games are getting better all the time.
Are you surprised by the amount of people that really devote so much of their day playing this thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't want to say I'm surprised because that's our point. You know, that's what we're here to do, is to give people stuff that they can play for hours a day. But when you see the numbers, and there's like 10 million skirmish matches, it's just hard to comprehend how big some of those numbers are. And I think to see the effort that people put in, not just in playing, but in supporting, in casting, in mod tools, in content, and I love to see that they have the same passion we do.
Obviously, British forces require British voices. So, Dan, you are the man behind the sound on this game. What went into hiring actors for these parts?
Well, we actually cast our actors out of London. We work with a partner over there. We were looking for a lot of regional specific accents, an Irish, Scottish, Welsh, upper class, lower class. And we had a great idea, but as far as actually taking what we wrote to the actors, they all live in these places. They know these lines and this slang. So we were able to use their expertise to make it as authentic as we could.
Bloody Englishman. We have to put up with endless sheep shagging jokes and do their fighting too.
Do you guys feel like when you plan this game out, you want to make it as real as possible?
Well, I think we want those real elements. I think that's part of Company of Heroes, and part of the process in the British forces is finding the authenticity and finding the character, I guess, of the forces and what made them compelling and what made their war experience what it was. And so those are things that we start with. We start with the essence of the British, and how do we continue to kind of inject that into the game and into the gameplay.
The British Forces is available right now for your gaming pleasure.
Wait a second, do you hear that sound? I hear Marissa squealing. After the break, we're going to take a closer look at Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer after this.
Hi, I'm Sean Murray, working at Hello Games on a game called No Man's Sky. And I guess my favorite moment or my favorite memory from Star Wars is actually just something really simple. Just an image that I have in my head of Luke stood on Tatooine with two suns in the sky, and it just being this perfect alien image, you know, something like just reminds me of kind of sci-fi book covers and things like that, you know. I think Star Wars just nailed that for me. Just created a world that I had imagined from like books, from actual science fiction, and then saw it on screen for real.
Oh man, I love Sean. A little behind the scenes info for you though. I think I came on a little strong when I met him.
You come on a little strong with almost everyone you interview on this show. And listen, good news for you. Animal Crossing is back on the map.
Oh my gosh.
Here is Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer.
Guess what, everybody? My game of the year has arrived.
You're calling it a bit early, aren't you?
I'm just kidding. Okay. Or am I? I'm talking about Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer.
Because Batman is not in this. I checked, and he's
Batman
not in.
Batman is not a character yet. I mean, he might show up as an amiibo or an amiibo card. You never know.
Might be one of the cards you buy, so keep hunting.
You might
Nintendo
actually
is so smart.
design the Batcave.
Okay, right.
I mean, it could happen, and then wouldn't you be over the moon if that were the case?
Well, that would be my client ask, for sure.
Right. So Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer really takes this one mechanic of Animal Crossing that a lot of people did love, was designing all the villagers' homes, because you can do that.
Yep.
Taking that aspect and bringing it to its own game and bringing it to life that way. So what we're doing here is jumping into the game. Tom Nook has his own design company. He's like a realtor of sorts, as he is with everything else in the game. He likes to control everything in Animal Crossing.
He has minions. He's looking for his tea time.
It's true, yeah. He wants to go play golf. He always pretends like he has a lot of work to do, but then he's really going to play golf. I think that's hilarious.
Yep.
So what you are the Happy Home Designer. You join this group of people that like to design homes for people.
You gotta pop on your uniform.
You put on your little uniform and you go to work. You go to people's houses in the town and you design. And I know it sounds really silly. I understand. For people that don't even enjoy Animal Crossing at all, this is not going to appeal to you. But Animal Crossing is one of the games that brings me so much joy in this world that I feel like a little snippet of it, a little taste of something new right now for Animal Crossing is exactly what I needed.
I think that there is hunger for more content in this space because this is a very popular franchise. And so this is a very smart financial move for Nintendo because, you know, they're building something that appeases the fans but also has now this amiibo card component in there, which is also another smart financial decision for Nintendo. Yeah, you collect the cards and you can suddenly start to have these little characters populate the homes that you're designing.
Exactly, because you use your little telephone that's in your office, you call out, and the way you call out is just placing your amiibo card on your 3DS, and it calls the character, and then the character tells you what they're interested in, what kind of home they want. So I know all of this, of course, sounds silly if you don't like Animal Crossing, I know, but you go to their home, you try to give them exactly what they need, and I love the way they indicate things they like or things they're surprised by.
I think that's pretty cool.
I absolutely love that because they all have their own unique tastes, and you want to cater to those tastes.
Right? Then they may have kids and they want some kid-friendly type of content and entertainment here. Just be wary of those amiibo packs because you don't know what you get in the packs as well. They're blind
That's
packs.
true, they're blind packs.
Yeah.
But and also be wary of that shady Tom Nook.
It's a solid game for sure. It's definitely not up to the caliber of New Leaf, but it's definitely a fun Animal Crossing experience. So I'm going to give it a 7.5. How about you?
Oh, it's too low. Actually, like it's getting an 8.5 for me.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm crazy addicted to this game. So Jones, I have to ask you, who's your favorite character?
Well, of course, my favorite character is the one you hate the most. It's our old friend Tom Nook. Now listen, Tom Nook has a lot of similarities to someone who's very important in the tech world. That's our old friend Steve Jobs. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at the new movie.
Musicians play their instruments. I play the orchestra. This idea that computers shouldn't just be for hobbyists, that it should be something for the mainstream, that it would end up being every man's tool and the most sort of powerful tool that we have out there. What he was so passionate about from the beginning was this idea of computers being intuitive things for us to use.
What I didn't realize that Steve Wozniak was as instrumental in making Apple as he was until I started doing this movie. I'd never even heard of Steve Wozniak until he was on that Kathy Griffin reality show. That was literally the first time I was like, oh, there's another guy? I thought it was Steve Jobs.
I built the circuit board. The graphical interface was stolen. So how come 10 times in a day, I read Steve Jobs as a genius? What do you do?
When you hear that a film is being made that is 180 pages long with very few actors in it, written in 3 acts by Aaron Sorkin, being directed by Danny Boyle with Michael Fassbender playing the lead, you do everything you can to get yourself cast in that movie. I was very excited by, quite honestly, I think the whole package of what it was. I knew the writing was going to be incredible. I knew that it would be thrilling to work with Danny, who I'd never worked with before. The idea of standing in the same room with Michael Fassbender was enough to make me want to faint, let alone work with him. And also I was intrigued by the notion that this wasn't a biopic, and it really isn't. It doesn't focus on his illness, it really only features one member of his family, his daughter Lisa, and it covers 3 specific periods in his life, covering the launch of 3 different products during his working life.
It's a system error. Fix it. Fix it? Yeah. We're not a pit crew at Daytona. This can't be fixed in seconds.
You didn't have seconds. You had 3 weeks. The universe was created in a third of that time.
Well, someday you'll have to tell us how you did it.
I'm begging you to manage expectations out there.
You see how this reminds you of a friendly face? It's warm and it's playful and inviting and it needs to say hello.
If you keep alienating people for no reason, there's gonna be no one left for it to say hello to.
Your Apple stock was worth $441 million, while your daughter and her mother are on welfare.
She's not my daughter!
I read the script and it is a starburst of a script. I mean, it is like, takes your breath away. I mean, obviously there's so many things you could think about at that point, reasons not to do it, which are all to do with being careful. Should you really be doing a film about a person like this, a controversial person like this, with many people with different opinions, and there'll be family and all those kind of stuff. We've been through some of that on 127 Hours that we've done, the problems of doing true stories, if you call them that. But actually, you read the script and it felt like you would be crazy not to do it. It was extraordinary. It was something, I'd never done anything like it before. The challenges that it gave you were staggering, and it took on the idea that Sorkin had begun with Social Network, which is to look at these people who create this modern world, and that we are talking about the forgers of the world we're living in, and we're only just really beginning to live in it now. The people who create this world for us, and what cost has that had for them, and what can we learn about them by our artists like Sorkin?
We've spoken to the fire marshal and the building manager. They're going to come in and tell everyone to leave.
If a fire causes a stampede to the unmarked exits, it'll have been well worth it for those who survive.
This movie is not a biopic. It's what it gets called because it's nonfiction. It's about someone real, but it's not a biography. There isn't a cradle-to-grave structure to it. We zero in. The movie only has 3 scenes, and those 3 scenes are in real time. Real time, of course, means that 35 or 40 minutes for you in the audience is the same as 35 or 40 minutes for a character on the screen. It's 3 scenes. They all take place backstage before 3 product launches. The original Macintosh in 1984. Then after Steve left Apple, his next venture, which was called Next, in 1988. And then 10 years after that, his return to Apple with basically the iMac, which is the Macintosh that we all use now, in 1998. And so it's just 3 scenes, and in those 3 scenes, all these conflicts that he has in his life get played out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Steve Jobs is out in limited release this Friday, and it goes wide 2 weeks later.
Limited, then wide. Got it. You think there'll ever be a Tom Nook movie? I'd like to watch that.
Oh, definitely. Are you kidding me? Of course, it's probably already in the works.
And probably have a very happy ending. And listen, we're going to stay in the Apple orchard. When we come back, we're going to review the new phones from Apple after this.
What kind of happy ending? Welcome back to EP Daily. Earlier in the show, we saw a little Steve Jobs action, so guess what? We're keeping the apple juice churning here at EP Daily. We're going to Toronto now to see Steve and Raju. They got their hands on the new Apple phones. Will they be a success?
We are looking at the new iPhones, the iPhone 6S and the iPhone 6S Plus. Now, basically, this is one of the sort of what, shall we call them evolutionary years?
Oh God, I wouldn't even go that far.
Iterative years where basically the bodies of the phones haven't changed, but the innards have. And according to Tim Cook, they changed everything. Steve, what did you think about the new iPhones?
Look, I rock an iPhone S, and I have always been a fan of the iPhones. I mean, I've dabbled in Android. I keep coming back to Apple. There are things I will always dislike about Apple's walled garden, even though it's gotten better over time. The iPhone 6 is a great phone. The iPhone 6S, therefore, is a slightly greater phone, and I've got no problem with that. But they make the sheep go out and buy iPhones again with this half step forward.
Look, I don't think there's any reason if you have a 6 or a 6 Plus to upgrade to these. However, if you have the generation before, Sure. But I still don't think you should pay for the whole thing. I hope you can get on a contract or get it cheap or something. Yeah. But I do think that there's some very neat stuff in this phone.
Okay, I think the key feature is 3D touch. Now, as silly as this whole concept sounds, this is actually kind of a cool thing. It's essentially right-clicking for your iPhone. The screen can sense pressure. So instead of just having the option to tap on something, you can press a little harder, and on apps that support it, you can have a menu pop up or just other things happen. And I thought it sounded a little goofy, but after using it for a while, it's actually super, super handy on apps that support it.
Absolutely, and I think that the best thing about it is the best thing you can say overall entirely about the phone, and that everything is faster.
I gotta say, when I went to the 6S, I'm like, this is no faster. Your 89 processor isn't that much better. Then I went back to the 6, I'm like, oh yeah, it was faster. Now it's still kind of slow now.
And I do think that that is overall the best thing about it.
It's a little faster. The camera's a little better.
Live photos? Oh, live photos. Apple reinvented the gift kits. It's cool. Look, I can go like this.
Live photos are when you have the option when you're taking a photo with the camera, it will record like a second or two of video
around it.
I think it's right after you press the shutter button and save it as a separate part of the photo, so that when I'm looking at a picture of you, I can take a picture
and then I can 3D.
And then when I look
it,
at it,
but you have to 3D
you do this
touch
in the
it,
picture.
and then basically, yeah, you move around it. My kid loves it. Children will love it.
Yes, the iPhone 6S is the best iPhone you can buy right now, and for my money, it is one of the best smartphones out there. I'm an iPhone guy. I will always choose the user interface and the slickness of it over some of the advantages you get on other platforms.
On the record, I say 6S Plus is the way to go. These are both great phones. Mr. Tilley, I'm quite curious. What are you going to give your hated new iPhones, the best ever iPhones ever?
The phone's a 9, but I'm docking half a point for the lack of innovation, 8.5.
9 out of 10 for me.
Okay there, boys. I'll have to check that out for myself. Don't go anywhere because after the break, we've got your Twitter question of the day.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Welcome back to EP Daily. It's time for our Twitter question of the day. This one is from Feels Bad Man. When will we see more of Scott? That man always brings a smile to my face.
Well, here I am. Feels Bad Man. That's a nice Twitter handle, by the way. I like working with Vic and Marissa. They're a lot of fun. They do take trips and leave me home sometimes because I need to have my shots and I don't have all my paperwork together to travel overseas.
And the cats.
But I feel like I'm in the show a lot. But Feels Bad Man, I can do birthday parties. I can come to your house and make a speech, like a motivational speech.
Tell them about the balloons.
I can, if you need balloons, I can bring balloons over and pizza.
All right. Okay. If you've got another question for us, or you want to get caught up in the show to see more of this lovely man, go to our website at epn.tv.
And listen, the Star Wars Battlefront beta is out, and we've got an entire episode devoted to Battlefront. Thanks for watching, everybody.
We'll see you tomorrow. EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Asphalt 8 Airborne, which you can play on your Android or iOS device for free right now.
The experience of working at DICE has been incredible. This is the third gaming studio that I work for, and the level of talent of the people that I work with. Every day I'm amazed. I mean, it's obvious to look at the artwork in our game and marvel at the talent of our artists and their tech people, but it's the audio people, it's the designers, it's the other producers, it's everyone that I work with on a daily basis.